All right. We are. This is kind of a neat place. I've never been to France. Never been to France. In fact, I may be going to Israel toward the end of this year, but I've never actually physically been in France. So this is kind of a neat run. So we are prepared. We're in pre-flight for to go from Montpellier in Mediterranean in France to uh, Charles de Gaulle. So we're this not a long. It's not a super long flight. This particular flight, but we're gonna go ahead and get set up. We're gonna be using Say Intentions on this flight. Um, I used VATSIM earlier today, and I'll say this about Say Intentions as ATC. It does a great job. It does give you a pilot monitoring so that you can kind of focus, and that does come into play at times. So really helps. Actually, I would say it really actually does help. So, but on the same token, when I was on VATSIM today, you really do appreciate what pilots do because when you have to do everything, monitor everything, it can be overwhelming at times. But it's neat how the more you do it, the more it becomes muscle memory. Um, and we're going to go ahead and go do our pre-flight. First of all, let's go ahead and talk about this flight today, and let's pull up our flight plan. Okay, we're going to load this flight plan. I'm using SimBrief Navigraph for this flight. We're going to go to our flight plan here and take a good look at it. So we have 220 passengers. Cargo, it's got it right at 12,400 kilograms. I take that back. We're on imperial units here. If that's the case, I think it is here. Okay. Our block fuel is 15,411, which, by the way, is perfect for the distance of this flight. Our zero fuel weight is 161,481 pounds. Um, our landing weight should be about 169,000 pounds. We're going to go ahead and I just noticed something. I normally I think the way it sets it up, I think Toliss sets it up is we're not. This is kind of sort of a cold and dark. Their version of cold and dark. I do have external power I can go to, but let's go for the APU since we are not going to be on the ground for that long. We are going to go ahead and turn our IRS to nav so it can begin aligning. And we're going to set our emergency lights to arm. Beacon on, wing on, nav on, and strobe is on auto. Okay. Okay, everything is coming up. Uh, we're going to go ahead also and disconnect the external power, take off the chocks, set our predictive wind shear to auto, multi-scan to auto, GCS to auto. Alignment will take about 7 minutes, and we are going to go ahead and do the initializing this and do our init request for our flight plan. And align IRS. We're going to be flying out on runway 30 right on the NG7 Romeo departure. So 30 right. And NG is the SID, so actually technically we don't have a SID. Okay. Takeoff performance is, we're going to compute that. We're going to do 154, 154, 157, 154, 154, and 157. And we're going to have a flex temp of 54. And flaps are going to be at 1 at up 0.1. So 1 0.1. Okay. Brian, you're in charge of all comms on this flight. Thank you for coming and being with us today. Good evening.
Good evening, Steve. I'll handle the comms from here.
QNH is 1011. We're going to let them tell us, but our transition should be 060. We'll see. Transition altitude. I'm going to push Brian along here. Should have already done this. Air France 7467 requesting our IFR clearance to John to Paris.
I'll grab that clearance. Give me just a minute. Air France 7467. Information Golf is current. Clear to De Gaulle via the NG7R departure. Runway 30 right. Initial climb to 10,000. Departure on 127.28 squawk 2623.
Montpellier ground, Air France 7467 with Golf. Cleared to De Gaulle via NG7R departure. Runway 30 right. Climb to 10,000. Departure frequency 127.28. Squawk 2623.
Air France 7467. Read back correct.
Okay, we set our squawk code 2623.
Run to cockpit, please show me where you want to go. Run to cockpit, tow is driving up.
Brian, would you please get our pushback and start clearance?
I'll request pushback and start clearance.
Montpellier Ground, Air France 7467 requesting clearance for pushback and engine start.
Air France 7467, pushback and engine start approved. Face northeast.
Some doors are still opened or the GPU or the ASU are still connected. I'm waiting for all of them closed and disconnected, then I will proceed.
Runway 12 right, I'm 7,000 feet initially on Mark 1 Romeo. Next frequency 127.285, stroke 6764. Confirm GT clearance on Telegram.
1 second while I grab the paperwork.
Clear to meet after departure flight radar vector Marie. Departure runway 12 Romeo, climb missile climb and maintain 7,000 feet departure on the 127.28, stroke 6764, November 55 Papa Yankee.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed, ready to connect.
A little hiccup there. Of course, I was playing with the ground handling. That ground handling, I think, actually, I got from the forum, and it's free. It's actually something free, so you don't have to. You can actually pick that up for a free download. It works pretty good.
Stow connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake. Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
Okay, going for engine 2.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Delta Sky Team and our global partners, welcome on board your Delta flight going to Paris-Charles de Gaulle Airport. As you're making your way to your seat, we kindly ask that you please step into your row and out of the aisle as quickly as possible to allow those passengers behind you to make their way to their seat as well. If you're traveling with a larger rollerboard, please place it in the overhead bins, either wheels or handles first on either side of the aircraft. Keep in mind that the overhead bins may share space, so if your bin directly above your seat is already full, please go ahead and utilize the next available space. If you brought a second item with you, such as a briefcase, tote bag, laptop bag, backpack, go ahead and utilize our space so that we can utilize that overhead bin space for your larger bags without having to check them plain sight to your final destination. Feel free to utilize your mobile phones, tablets, and e-readers while
Operation
returning.
complete.
However,
Set
once we
parking
close our
brake.
boarding doors, you must please place these items into airplane mode or turn off your cellular service. So I'd like to thank you all for choosing to fly Delta. Welcome on board.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
Flaps are going to be set to 1. And auto brake is set to max. Takeoff config check.
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal of the left. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
And taxi lights and runway lights are on. Brian, can you go ahead and get our taxi clearance for runway 30 right?
I'll get our taxi clearance for runway 30 right.
Montpellier ground, Air France 7467, ready to taxi to runway 30 right. We have Tango.
Air France 7467, runway 30 right, taxi via Mike. Tango 4, Tango 3, Tango 2, Tango 1.
Runway 30 right, Mike, Tango 4, Tango 3, Tango 2, Tango 1. Air France 7467.
Understood. not positive, but I think we're going to be flying into into the daylight. Like, should see a little glimpse of like the sun.
Air France 7467, contact tower on 118.2.
Switching to tower on 118.2. Air France 7467. Montpellier Tower, Air France 7467. Evening, holding short of 30 right, ready for departure.
Air France 7467, contact tower on 118.2 for departure clearance.
Switching to tower on 118.2 for departure clearance. Air France 7467. Montpellier Tower, Air France 7467, evening, holding short of 30 right, ready for departure.
Air France 7467, Montpellier Tower, runway 30 right, winds 270 at 10, cleared for takeoff.
Runway 30 right, cleared for takeoff. Air France 7467.
What I do is, since we're flying on Traffic Global, I always check, because my ATC on, say, Intentions does not talk to the Traffic Global aircraft, so there's always a possibility there could be an incoming aircraft that you don't see. Now, the aircraft will respect you. If they see you on the ground, they see you, but we're not just talking to ATC the same way. Alright, lined up and forward throttle. V1 rotating. Positive right. Gear up.
France 7467. Evening climbing to 1000.
Air France 7467, Montpellier departure identified, climb flight level 100.
Climbing flight level
100.
Air
Gotcha.
France 7467.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we climb to our cruising altitude, I'd like to extend a special thank you to each of you, and welcome back to our SkyMall members and
Air France
Million Miles.
7467, climb
Your
flight
business
level
and loyalty
210.
are greatly appreciated by the entire Delta
Climbing
family.
flight level 210. Air
For your
France
safety, it's important to
7467.
remain seated with your seatbelt securely fastened anytime the seatbelt sign is on. Even if the sign is off, please keep your seatbelt fastened in case we experience any unexpected rough air. We ask that you also please remember to use caution if opening the overhead bins to prevent injury to articles that may have shifted during takeoff. Now reach an altitude where it's safe to use approved electronic devices, and a listing of these devices can be found in Sky Magazine in the seat pocket in front of you. On today's flight in the economy cabin, it will be our pleasure to offer you complimentary Coca-Cola products, Starbucks coffee, water juices, a variety of complimentary snacks, as well as a selection of our fresh eats items and all-day goodies. Beer, wine, and spirits are available complimentary for our first class and Delta Comfort Plus passengers, as well as available for purchase for the main cabin. A complete listing of available beverages, as well as of our fresh eats items, can be found in the menus in your seat pocket. Please be reminded that Delta accepts only major credit or debit cards for onboard purchases of beverages and snacks. However, you can use your Delta SkyMiles American Express card to save 50% and earn double miles on all Delta purchases. For your enjoyment, each seat is equipped with your own personal entertainment system. On it, you can view a selection of complimentary as well as on-demand TV shows, movies, and music. You will find that this screen will work best with just a light tap of your fingertip. Feel free to use your own headsets. Otherwise, if you do need a headset, just let a flight attendant know they are yours complimentary for this and any future Delta flights.
You have Stacy's number. Right, we're nearing 10,000.
Air France 7467, climb flight level 270.
Climbing flight level 270. Air France 7467.
Perfect timing. Landing lights off. Takeoff lights off. Seem to be off course. What's wrong? NG. Okay, it's correcting. Okay. Moland setting up.
7467, climb flight level 310.
Climbing flight level 310, Air France 7467.
We are 315 miles from the airport. We'll go ahead and do our performance information for arrival here. Landing. We're going to be coming in on runway 27 right. At brake mode of medium. Reset that. Okay. And our QNH on landing is 2965, which is .1004. Our temp is 16. And our winds are 210 at 6 miles, so that's
Air France 7467, contact Marseille Control on 123.9.
Switching to Marseille Control on 123.9, Air France 7467. Marseille Control, Air France 7467. Good evening, climbing to flight level 180, aiming for flight level 310.
Air France 7467, Marseille Control, identified. Good evening.
okay.
Air France 7467, Marseille Control, climb flight level 320.
Climbing flight level 320, Air France 7467.
All right. Get an idea where we are right now, since we can't see out the windshield. Dark. That would give you a better idea. And our destination distance. Okay. Ron, you got it.
a Tiny Niner Whiskey arrival. Prepare to descend in roughly 20 minutes.
Expecting the Tiny Niner Whiskey arrival. Preparing to descend in approximately 20 minutes. Air France 7467.
Alright, we are 209 miles outside of Paris, and we're getting ready to go in. I can't figure out how I like the lighting in the cockpit, because every time you do that, you get your reflections on the glass. I guess you can't see outside hardly anyway, but it'd be nice to have a view. I'm not taking the seatbelt lights off. There, it's going to stay on. There's no sense. Start monitoring our flight info here. Our arrival is 127 right. I think we'll be on the 10s. $10.89. Ah! Didn't mean to do that. 10. This. There we go. And Okie 3.
Speedbird 115. Contact line control on 125.45.
Control on 125.45, Speedbird 115, bye-bye.
Canada Airbus, Whiskey 001, request Airbus.
Just a second.
And we're not far from top of descent. I noticed there. Monitor that. We're going to go in with medium brakes on this. And we should get 2 error messages there. I do have custom scenery at our airport at de Gaulle, Charles de Gaulle, and it pops up a couple of messages, but I have checked the run that went before I added AutoOrtho and Simheaven. I was having a couple of really bad things on the runway, including one on one of my main ILS runways that was like a crater in the runway and caused me to actually crash on one particular approach. And since I loaded AutoOrtho and Simheaven, I have not. I went back and reloaded. I took it off at first, my custom airport. I put back the custom airport info, and it looks like I don't have any craters or any potholes that I can sink into and crash. anywhere on the airport, but I still do get these two messages that can pop up. So I can't really explain it. I can fly over Charles de Gaulle, and the messages will pop up when I get within the sphere of the airport. So one to figure out. Well, it's not a showstopper though. There was a time when it was. It actually was messing me up pretty good, but not anymore. It seems to be evened out, and it still looks really incredible. I also learned how to set up my custom INI.
7467, contact Rams control on 121.075.
It seems to
Switching
fix
to
some
range
things.
control on 121.075. Air France 7467. Range control, Air France 7467. Good evening, maintaining flight level 320.
Air France 7467, Rams control identified. Good evening.
Well, it could be sad, but I don't know if I'm really trying to compete with Q8 pilot and my Scottish pilots. They've got some amazing channels. What I do here, I believe, I just do informationally, and I'll start a stream up, and on occasion I'll run across some people who are more interested in this style of stream. But I will say this: you can't beat some of the more established streamers on this. I just do it as a way to connect with other flight simmers, and we could talk a little bit about some of the setups, configurations, or the different aircraft. Aircraft I'm flying today, in fact, the A321Neo, A321Neo is by Toliss, and really good. It's just a really good aircraft. It's solid, it's stable, the functionality, everything works. I would put it in the category of one of the more established commercial airliners. And it's a nice size plane. I mean, I could hold up to 220 passengers on this plane. So it's a great commercial aircraft. It's really popular in the United States and Europe. I just happen to be flying in Europe here because I had Delta Virtual transfer me to the Charles de Gaulle hub, and it's the smallest hub that Delta has. And that means there's fewer pilots. There's fewer actually Delta pilots. So I just figured, hey, I'll go fly around Europe. And I will open up the stream and just for information, and maybe you'll catch a nugget of something that I do, or we'll figure out something that'll help you if you want to try it. But if you haven't tried the Toliss, I think I would put Toliss A321Neo in my top 3 category of the commercial airliners that I like flying the most. The other one, which I think is the comparable one, but still Toliss, this model takes more passengers, is the Zebo's 737-800. Stable, been around forever, and just well configured, and everything is so lifelike on that one, so just so much true to life. And then I'll do a couple of other flights. I've been trying to fly the A350 Airbus a little bit. That was made by, I want to say if that was made by Toliss, and it has a few quirks, but it's okay. It's a really good, it's a nice airliner. And the 777 by flight factor is probably my favorite. And it also, though, is the most resource intense, because it's going to eat up your resources if you don't have a super fast computer, because it's so detailed. There's so much going on in the background. So it's another good one. Okay, we're near the top of descent here. We're going to go ahead and get Brian on Say Intentions. Brian, would you go ahead and get our descent clearance to descend on the 10's arrival?
Requesting descent clearance for the Tiny Niner Whiskey arrival.
Okay, so I call it 10's. Okay.
Control, Air France 7467, requesting descent clearance for the Tiny Niner Whiskey arrival.
Air France 7467, clear Tiny Niner Whiskey arrival into the Gaulle. When you're ready to begin your descent flight level 240.
Clear Tiny Niner Whiskey arrival into the Gaulle. Descend flight level 240 when ready. Air France 7467.
All right, we're on our descent. Right, it's coffee time. Hold on. You guys got to get some coffee for the descent. Does it? Do any of y'all have this model? Does anybody have the Toliss A321Neo model? I bought it. I bought this model probably about 6 months ago, and I was. It took me a while to get used to Airbus. It took a lot of just took a lot of like immersing yourself in it, and finally got to where it got really comfortable. So I've got to where I feel comfortable on this model, or the Boeing series. But this is a really good one. The McDo, everything works really well.
Our initial descent. At this time, we ask that you kindly begin to recheck the security of your seatbelt. And if you've removed any items from the overhead bins, please begin to restow them at this time. Please check around your seating area and the seat pocket in front of you for any cups, glasses, or other articles you wish to discard. And kindly hand these items to the flight attendants as they make their way through the aisle. Thank you so much. We should be landing in approximately 15 to 20 minutes.
Alright, we're on slow descent into Paris right now. We're about 132 miles outside of Paris.
Air France 7467, descend flight level 160.
Descending flight level 160. Air France 7467.
When I fly with Say Intentions and make my have a pilot monitoring, if I miss something or if there's some instruction he gave him, what I like is I can go back to the screen here, the Say Intentions screen, and see the log if there's some instruction I missed. So that helps. It really helps.
flight level 120, Air France 7467.
Air France 7467, contact Paris control on 125.08.
Switching to Paris control on 125.08, Air France 7467. Paris control, Air France 7467, evening. Descending from flight level 210 to flight level 120.
Air France 7467, Paris control identified. Good evening.
Co-pilot, by the way, is having the pilot monitoring is it can actually spoil you. It can spoil you on, say, intentions, but it really does come in handy. There's also, so you can use, say, intentions, and when I fly, there's a couple of ways I use it. So you can, channel 1 is Brian, so say hey to everybody. Hey Brian, say hey to everybody. Brian, say hey to everybody. Brian, say hello to everybody that's watching.
Yes, Steve.
Hey everyone, let's focus on our flight and keep the communications professional. If you have any questions about the flight or need tips, just let me know.
I have sent a friendly hello to everyone watching.
Okay. So, Brian, so you can pick, you have several choices on the, let me pull it up here. say Intentions. If any, I don't know who uses it here. If any of y'all use it, but you've got when I go to setup here. So right now on channel 1, I have Brian, and I can pick like the different kind of people. Like I got Brian the professional. I got funny ones, whatever the case is. I like the professional ones, and so that is my co-pilot. I have to direct him. Like for instance, he's my pilot monitoring, and he's in charge of all communications. So at the beginning of the flight, I tell him, you know, Brian, you're in charge of all comms, and he takes over that. And this little thing here turns from pilot to co-pilot. He takes care of all of our radio traffic. You can also have on the second channel, usually you can use it. I have right now a mentor that is Millie. Her name's Millie Skybound or something like that. But you can ask her any question about the Toliss A321. If I'm in this 737, the Boeing 737. She knows she can research like at the drop of a hat anything and give me answers if I need it. And so that helps, especially if you're weak on a particular aircraft. You can actually get the answers you need to fly a particular aircraft, and that's come in handy more than once. Sometimes she can't be super specific, but as a whole, it's been really useful. It's been a really useful tool. When I'm flying on we're on a Delta Virtual flight now for Air France. I think we're Air France, but we're Delta Virtual, and it's Delta and Air France partner, I guess, on this because this is the actual schedule. And when I'm doing this flight here, I have my ACARS for Delta Virtual, and it has a flight attendant on it. That it actually talks quite a bit, so I don't use channel 2 for any sort of cabin crew unless I'm on an airline that doesn't have a good ACARS.
Switching to the Gaulle approach on 119.85, Air France 7467.
119.85. Okay. And I'm going to bring up, just so y'all can see our panel here. Didn't mean to do that.
The Gaulle approach, Air France 7467. Good evening. Maintaining flight level 160.
Alright, we're at 140 and descending. I'm getting ready to bring lights up in a second here, or landing lights. Just go have them come up. Okay, landing lights are up. Ground spoilers armed. Auto brakes set to medium. I didn't mean to do that. I have my keypad set to all the views right now, and also I have an ABC plug-in inserted also, which kind of helps the frame of the views. I think it looks better. Okay. So okay, so I think we got it. Seatbelt signs, seatbelts on. Ground spoilers are on. Landing lights are active. Usually, you do landing lights just as you're cresting, or you're going below 10,000. But if I'm at 12 or 13,000, I go ahead and turn the landing lights on. It's too much to do, so you may as well go ahead and have them on. So far, we're 55 minutes into this flight. So this is the distance between Paris and France right now, the Schiphol, France. did a VATSIM flight earlier today from flying out of Schiphol, and I must say the communicator, or the ATC, was excellent. ATC, the ground crew and the centers were excellent. Did a great job. We are 50 nautical miles outside of Charles de Gaulle, and it looks like we're actually going to be coming in. See our direction here. I'm activating a little bit early, but it's all right. It looks like that we might be coming in, like, we're coming straight in, as opposed to having to do a transition. So that's good. That's good. So it'll save us some time, but we'll be coming straight in on this flight. We have a at or above hard stop at 110 right now, so we've got about 10 nautical miles to stay at 110, and then we'll continue descending. Notice that's a restriction, flight restriction, or airspace altitude. So my setup here, the way I have things set up, I have my yoke, my pedals underneath me. We have actually this MSD here is for a 737. So I actually do have a 737 setup. I do not have one for an Airbus. So, and then I have a radio to my right hand right here. So I actually have a radio. So radio, 737 MSD, which I'm not using it right now, but if we were in the Boeing 737, it would be how I have all my settings set on it. So all right, and we should be continuing our descent now. Yeah. Our next flight level is 050. Slow and steady. Good job. Shout out to the McDo and the way it's handling the VNAV side. Good job. this over here. We've got, you can see everything from this side here. The differences in the Boeing and the Airbus and how you handle approach are a whole lot different, and that one took me a little bit to get used to adapt to. So once you get used to it, once you kind of you see how it works or how the steps work, it's actually much easier on the Airbus side, because there's so many things you have to enter manually on the 737, the Boeing 737. Just manually, you have to put in your landing altitude, you have to put in your frequency, all of these things. Whereas with the McDo, you don't have to do any of that. It's if you put in your arrival information, and once you've entered it, put your settings, it automatically has your frequency set for the runway you're arriving on, so it makes it much easier. In our case here, everything's configured through, in fact, we hit performance here. So our settings here on our approach, we're on approach now. All these are already, we've put in these settings, but that in turn, the frequency's already been set for us. I notice they have not vectored us at all. We're currently about 7070, but they haven't vectored us. They're letting us stay on our approach. I notice that happens more in the European cities. Talk about them allowing you to follow the approach. As long as you stay on the approach, they usually will leave you alone. If you'll follow the restrictions, the altitudes, then they just monitor you and let you follow through. But that's one thing. American cities, it looks like you're vectored a lot more. You're constantly vectored. What I've noticed, we're at almost 6,000, and we're still on standard and have not been told to switch off of standard for our altimeter. We're about to make a turn coming up here at IG 27 right, or 27 Romeo, and which is our approach, and I'm going to be activating approach here. We're 20 nautical miles from the airport, so we're not dropping the gear for about another 10 miles. See our runways out there? Our runway is 30 right. This goes 27 right. Sorry, I said 30 right. 27 right. Here comes the turn, and here comes, I want to activate approach. I already see we're about to capture here in just a moment. Flaps 1. And we're going to try to follow the marks for flaps here. Will be full flaps on our final. All right, we finally got a message about our altitude. Pretty good. Autopilot 2 active. Okay, landing lights are active. Second autopilot is active. Auto brakes are medium. Ground spoilers armed. Flaps are currently at 2. About to go to 3 now. There we go. And full flaps. Gear down. All right. 1600.
De Gaulle departure Mike Oscar 738, climbing flight level 5,000 feet. Good evening.
What I'm doing, I'm setting this up because I'm going to be hitting that button right there, and I don't have another button set to mimic that right now. I probably need to set one up so I can knock, because that knocks off my autopilot. We're hitting about a 13-mile headwind right now, and that's actually gave me a little bit of a jar there. That's a beautiful airport, by the way. I did do the custom Charles de Gaulle airport. Had a few problems I had a few problems with the setup, but I'm also running AutoOrtho and Simheaven now. When I had the problems, I didn't have either one of those running, and it wouldn't load correct at all. Now it looks like it's integrated, but it looks good. It looks real nice. Okay. Okay. 200. Okay.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10. Retard. 5. Retard. Retard. Retard.
Nice, nice, nice. There we go. Get the nose, get that nose down.
Please remain seated with your seatbelt securely fastened until the captain has parked the aircraft at the gate and turned off the seatbelt sign. This will be your one and only indication that it's safe for you to get up and move about the cabin. Please be reminded to use caution when opening the overhead bins to prevent injury from articles that may have shifted during landing. You may now use your mobile phones and other handheld electronic devices while we taxi to the gate. However, your laptop computers and larger electronics must remain stowed.
Flaps are retracted.
We invite you to visit delta.com for all your future travel needs, including checking in for a flight and managing your SkyMiles account.
Bird 32 Papa Golf, climbing to 10,000.
If any of you should have questions regarding ground transportation, baggage claim,
240, Bird 32 Papa Golf.
or any other information, a Uniform Delta agent leading this flight will be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. On behalf of Delta Sky Team, our global partner, and Liveries, we'd like to thank you all for flying with us. We've enjoyed having you on board and look forward to the opportunity to serve you once again. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening. Flight attendants, prepare doors for arrival, please. Cross-check and all call.
Yeah, so when I loaded the customized version of the airport, I had all kinds of problems. And since I loaded AutoOrtho, it seems to have taken some of those problems away. I'm not drunk, I promise. Okay, there we go. Earlier, like what I'm crossing over right now, the bridge was gone, and so like if you try to cross it, you crash. You would go into the abyss. It was awful. Looks like everything's been corrected now. So. I do have a space up here. Not coming at it at the right angle. See if I can fix this.
Paris Control on 120 decimal linear 505.
Paris Control on 120 decimal linear 55.
Echo departure, bonsoir, France 406, landing 4, service. Landing unit 190, hold on.
Alright, brakes. don't know if I can salvage that. I'll try. I may not be able to. Alright, next steps. External power, chocks. Activate external power. Right, lights. Landing lights. Seat belts. And for this flight, we are going to stop, or we finish out our flight, our virtual flight. Not really satisfied with that. I got 8 points deducted. Why? Okay, so I'm not on VATSIN. I'm on Say Intentions, and it deducts you 2 points for that. Maybe 3. 2 points. Yeah. It didn't like a bank there. I'm gonna go set and then takeoff gave me a 13 or 14. Not sure what it was wrong there. So anyway, let's set that out.
FedEx 4578, heavy de Gaulle departure, climb flight level 210.
Alright, let's turn the lights back on.
FedEx 4578.
I'm going to see if it'll let us do a replay. Sometimes with Traffic Global, replays are a little bit, you can have some issues because I think it's taking up some of your resources. But you'll never have the planes just like they were at the time that you were flying. It just isn't possible. Okay. Alt-R. Of the wing activity when we come down and touch down. And one last one. We'll see where it takes us on this one here. Here we go.
Delta 29er heavy.
Delta 29er, contact Paris control on 10.955.
10.955 for Delta 29er heavy. Bye-bye.
Okay. Good flight. I guess I'll see some of y'all on the next one. Or if you go back and rewatch something, feel free. And we'll see you later.